3, 2, 1, action.
Hey guys! Welcome back to another episode on our podcast from Blended to Besties. This is... What the heck was that?
That was supposed to be like applause.
That looked like you were like sinking down or something.
I'm sorry, that didn't work out.
This is episode number 5.
Lucky number 5.
I believe. And today we will be talking about controversial parenting.
Yeah, controversial parenting opinions.
Opinions, that's what it is. Okay.
Yes.
But before that, we're going to do a quick recap of our weekend. Yes. We had a lot going on.
This was a jam-packed weekend. Like, we literally... And our husbands were with us. So it's one thing when, like, me and Tiffany, when you and I have, like, a jam-packed weekend, you know, we're bam, bam, bam. We had the husbands. And not only did we have the husbands, we had the kids. Yeah. And we had my mother-in-law.
Yes. Lots of going. Oh my god, that is true. Yes. Because she was there for basically everything as well.
She was there Saturday and Sunday.
Halloween, the farm,
yes,
the bonfire. It was a busy last few days.
It really was.
We all celebrated Halloween together. We did that. That was fun. Mm-hmm. We also had a bonfire a couple of days ago at my house that we all got to enjoy ourselves. Nothing really happened. We were just kind of chilling.
Yeah, we grilled out.
Yes.
Drank a lot.
Yes.
And then just like that around bonfire, we made s'mores with the kids.
Got some s'mores stuck to Mike's back of his leg.
Tiffany went to throw a marshmallow and ended up getting stuck to the back of Mike's leg.
You threw it at me first.
I know.
I think I was talking shit to you, so you threw the marshmallow at me, but it was already melted, so I was like, ew, so I went to flick it away, and I flicked it right in the back of Mike's, but it didn't touch his leg, it touched his leg's hairs, so he had no idea it was there, and I was like, oh no, so I tried to like recover it, but it was already melted onto his hairs, and he had no idea, and then when I felt it and I could feel it, I was like, oh, I'm a goner.
And then like I was going in there and I was like, I wonder if his leg feels sticky, and I was like trying to like casually walk by him and like swoop down and pet the back of his knee pit, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, you could feel it. It was noticeable.
It was so sticky.
It was full of marshmallow. Good times.
That was good times.
The next day we went to Sweetfield Farms. Mm-hmm. We did some fall photos there.
And then we went to your mother-in-law's house. So we had my mother-in-law.
Yes.
And then we went to your
mother-in-law's house and played with baby goats.
The baby goats were 2 days old. There were some that were like 4 days old.
4 days old, 2 days old. There was baby piglets. There were so many different animals. A little baby Aussie. Australian Shepherd.
Oh, I was like Aussie.
I know, I call them Aussies all the time.
Aussie. Oh, since we didn't say it, for anyone who's new here, we are the Moms of Tampa.
Yes.
We are a co-parenting duo, so she's married to my ex-husband.
Girl, if you're saying that now for anyone who's new here, they got 4 more episodes to go watch.
That's true. Go
You're
watch
popping in on see how episode 5. Go back to episode 1.
That's true. We are, so anyway, that is that. We became best friends through healthy co-parenting. Yes. You know, in case people are finding it on YouTube.
Yeah, that's true.
Best friends through healthy co-parenting. So anyway, then the next day after the farm, we got invited to go to Selfie World.
Yes. For their new holiday, I don't know what you want to call it, holiday backgrounds that they're
they do different rooms.
They're new rooms, that's what it is.
Where they're all decorated, and it's like a photo shoot in each room with props and stuff. They had new holiday rooms that we went and took pictures of, and that was
a hot mess.
2 grown kids.
It was 4 kids, basically, and us 2.
Yes, trying to get as many outfit changes and as many, like, pictures done within a 2-hour period.
Yep.
Girl. It was a mess. We got it done. We only had to yell at them, 76 times. Yeah. No one cried.
No. Even though it looks like in the photos, like, they cried. They did. But they didn't.
So if you guys want to check out the photos, I did upload one today. You guys are going to be hearing this podcast next week, so a couple of them will already be up on Instagram, Moms of Tampa.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it. I think I keep saying maybe we're going to slow down and have a little bit of downtime, but I feel like...
Close to the holidays? No, because now it's going to be spending time with family, which is even more stressful in itself.
Family, I mean, we just do have a lot of shit going on.
Yeah. Got it going on.
But it's better to be busy than, not busy. So, today we are going to be talking about controversial parenting opinions. So, just giving you guys our opinions on these things. If these work for you, listen, you do you, boo. We are just talking about our opinions on what we haven't even really talked about this.
I mean, we don't even know our opinion. We kind of know. We kind of do.
Yeah.
But everyone does things differently, and that's okay. And when we get to the second one, there's so much I have to say about that because
because our opinions are different.
On the second one?
Oh no. Well, I don't know which one we're gonna do first. Okay, so do you want to go in order?
Yeah.
Okay, so first we're gonna talk about picky eating.
Yes. Picky eating. Our opinions on
dinner specifically, like. What do you do if your children aren't eating the food?
Yes. What do you do if you have picky kids, picky eaters? How do you handle that? Because I mean, excuse me, I'm dying.
Please don't.
We did a video a long time ago where we made a joke about kids not eating their dinners, and it was a funny sound on TikTok, and it was like, okay.
It went viral on your channel.
Yeah, it went viral with so many people thinking that we were encouraging eating disorders or forcing kids to not eat. And it kind of brought up the whole subject of what do you do when your kids are picky eaters? Do you feed them only what they like? We had plenty of moms that were saying, like, they do family dinners and then their youngest children get a whole different dinner.
Yeah,
like,
my
how
dad
do you
did
handle
that for my little brothers. So, I don't know if you want to start or you want me to start because I have a younger one and we can, I don't know.
Yeah, I can start. I guess I'll start from my own experience. I eat everything and anything. I'm not a picky eater at all. There's barely any foods that I really don't like eating. Even though I say, like, broccoli and cheese, like, I don't like eating them together. I'll still eat them if I'm served it.
You eat them separate, though. I mean...
Yes, I'll eat them separate,
it's not
but
like you're like, I just won't eat broccoli at all.
If you serve it to me, like, I'm still going to eat it. I'm not going to be like, I don't eat this. Like, you with mushrooms. Oh. Like, if someone serves you mushrooms, are you going to eat mushrooms?
I'll try it. I'll try anything, but girl, I mean, I ate that olive.
That's true, but you ate like one bite. Like, I would eat the whole entire thing of cheese and broccoli someone serves it to me because it's just a preference. I'm not gonna like throw up like eating it. Like it does. Shut up. Okay, don't good to know me. But my brother growing up, on the other hand, was super picky, and to this day, he like really just eats like chicken nuggets and pizza. He really stays away from any type of unique foods, and that always drove me insane growing up because it was like everyone allowed him to be picky. Like, if he didn't eat something, they just like took it away. He didn't have to, so he was not forced essentially to try anything new. Mm-hmm. So especially when we got Michael, and Michael was in our house all the time, Michael would be like, I don't like eating that. I'm like, have you tried it? And he's like, no. And I'm like, not today, not in this household. You are gonna try things. You're going to know what it tastes like beforehand before you say you don't like something, because like, we're just going to enable it, and you're going to be, 27 years old eating chicken nuggets and pizza.
So if, for example, Michael's 10, sitting at the table, and he's not eating dinner. Let's say he tries it and he doesn't like it. Is he still going to eat it because it's food on the table?
So, hold on. Wrong time to be taking a sip. So, back when we first had Michael at 3 or 4... we would literally just be fighting for him to eat the dinner and end up giving up and just throwing it away. Now with him at 10 years old, if there's something on his dinner plate that he doesn't like, I can't think of anything in the back of my mind lately.
He's been really good though.
Yes, he's usually pretty good. And there's something on his plate that he doesn't like. We make a deal right then and there on the dinner table because he starts whining. He's like, I don't want this. He has to eat all of it on his plate, but he can tell me once he's done eating it, can I not have this on my plate in the future? And I won't do it.
Yeah, we do something similar.
Because it gives him time where it's like, you have to eat it and try it. You have to see how it is. Because maybe you'll eat it. By the end, you're like, this is really good. Because he's done that with spicy food where in the beginning, the first few bites, he's like, I don't like this. This is spicy. And he'll eat the whole entire thing and he'll be like, can I have seconds? Because he's done that. And I'm like, you sneaky, sneaky, sneaky person. Which is why I don't stop. I used to like be careful doing spicy food with Michael, and I don't anymore. He eats the exact amount of spices that Mike and I do, and he loves it. He eats, will ask for seconds. But he'll eat the whole entire thing, and if he says it, he said it a couple of times with certain things. He's like, I really didn't like this at all. We did Brussels sprouts. He's like, I don't like this. Can I not have this on my plate again? I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, I'm not taking vegetables away, but I will take Brussels sprouts away where you don't have to have Brussels sprouts again. But that's the deal, and we've stuck to that, and he's done it pretty
So he has to eat it.
he has to eat it for that specific plate thing, and he can say if he never wants it again, he doesn't have to have it again.
We do something similar with him. I don't make him eat the whole thing. He can't just try one bite. He has to do, like, 3 or 4 bites, really give it a chance. If he doesn't like it after that, I don't do the whole you won't have to eat it again. He'll take 3 or 4 bites, and then, I'll be like, that's fine. But we revisit it again. Because your taste buds change. Yeah. Or, I could prepare it different. Like, let's say this time I put, teriyaki sauce on Brussels sprouts I don't do that for those clocking me, but let's just say I did. Then he didn't like the teriyaki sauce.
On your Brussels sprouts. Judging.
But maybe in, 3 weeks, I'm going to make him with a Parmesan cheese. And he might like it that way. So I'm not going to take the Brussels sprouts away completely because, I could cook them different. They could be crispier. He could like them crispier. They could be boiled. He could like, you know what I mean? There's just so many different ways to cook things. I don't make him eat it all then, but he has to try it again. We'll revisit it. And I kind of do the same thing with Bryce. I have a 4-year-old also. He was extremely picky. Like, even with, like, chicken nuggets and stuff. Like, he did not want to eat anything except for, like, granola bars and, like, cereal.
Girl, that day I had him, he was crying because I got him Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. And he was crying because they weren't little kid size. And I was like, but Bryce, I don't get to determine how big the chicken nuggets are. Yes. And, like, out of the 6 chicken nuggets, only one of them was little kid size. And the other ones were big chicken nuggets. And he wouldn't eat them. And I'm like, they're the same exact thing. He ate the little one just fine, but he's like, no, they're bigger.
He just gets tired, and he's just very dramatic.
Or that when he went through a phase saying that all the chicken nuggets were spicy, and I'm like, none of the chicken nuggets are spicy.
Well, he's also white, so. I'm just kidding. But, so, we took Bryce for a physical before he went to school, and this was back in June, July, something like that. And the doctor, they give you a paper and they ask, does your kid eat all these foods? And the doctor comes in and he had a talk with Bryce and he was like, if you want to get older, you need to try 1 new food a week. I told Bryce he needed to try one new food a day. So I told him, I was like, if you don't like it, you don't have to eat it, but you have to try a new food. Just try it. And he will literally try anything now because he thinks it's going to, get him bigger and stronger and stuff, and he will try, he's tried cucumbers, which he's fallen in love with, a lot of different vegetables, and if he doesn't like it, then we're like, okay, again, same thing with Michael, you don't have to eat it, we'll revisit it again in a couple weeks, and there has been a couple times where, he doesn't like it cooked this way, or sometimes, like, he'll not want it, and then in 2 weeks he'll want it. Yeah. So, that's kind of how I don't force my kids to,
Oh, that was you. I keep thinking it's me, but it's you. That's who it was.
I'm just very popular, okay?
I can't with you.
How were you when you were a kid? Like, did your parents force you to eat your food?
I ate anything and everything. Did your
mom, like, force you to, though?
No, I was never told. I was never needed to. Yeah, I just loved eating, so I was never forced. And I would literally sit on the kitchen table and be me and my brother, because obviously it was a combined thing. So if my brother wasn't done with his dinner, but I was, like, I still couldn't play, because we played together. But, he wouldn't eat anything. And I'm like, it's not that hard. I would literally try anything, everything. Anytime they put something in front of my plate, I would just always eat it. I can't even think of one thing that I'm like, oh my God, I didn't like it. Even my mom would make, the one thing that used to bother me, but it wasn't, how do I say, it's not that I didn't like it, it was just inconvenient for me. Every single Christmas year, my mom used to make thick-ass pancakes. And we weren't allowed to finish eating we weren't allowed to open our presents until we finished eating the thick-ass pancakes. But my mother made them like 1.5 inches thick. And my brother loved pancakes, so he would gobble them down. And I don't like putting syrup on my pancakes. Yes. So I was like, I don't want this. And I used to get so upset because then she would stack them. And I'm like, I can't. But I would still eat them. But I'd complain, but I'd eat them.
So she did force you to eat them?
Just the pancakes.
She only forced you to eat pancakes?
Yeah. How rude.
Oh my God. See, at my dad's house, I don't really remember growing up with my mom. My mom, she did a lot of, I don't know. I won't talk about mom. That's a whole different thing.
But going back really quick to it, because there has been times, I'm trying to think of what it was. It wasn't the Brussels sprouts, because Michael ate that no problem.
He eats Brussels sprouts my house
all
the time.
There was something, they weren't that great at Brussels sprouts, I'm going to be honest. So, Mike didn't even like them either. But that's besides the point. I didn't make them. It was like a prepackaged thing. There was something that I made one time that Michael didn't like, and I said, you know, the whole thing, eat it if you don't want it ever again, and he really, like, didn't like it, and he came up, he's like, I don't think I could do this, and I was like, okay.
I remember you told me, it was, what was it? Was it that pork or something that, like, disintegrated or something?
Let's not talk about that, because I don't know what it was.
It was the thing that you had in the thing for too long, and you said it was just, like, horrible.
Yes. He'll tell me, he's like, I really, like, I can't do this. And I'm like, that's fine. Like, as long, I always tell him, I'm like, as long as you focus, because I always put, like, a protein, a veggie, and a starch. Like, all I really care about is the protein and the veggies. Finished, don't really care too much about the starch.
Mm-hmm.
And I will be reasonable if he eats all the protein, because I also plan it way in advance that I'm like, I know Michael's going to like this, so I'll give him more of this. I know he's going to fight me on this, so I'm going to give him less of this because it's less likely for him to fight me. And I know if I gave him, like, 4 Brussels sprouts, like when he tries to, like, you know, talk me into splitting it in half, I know exactly how much I gave him.
Mm-hmm.
I really just emphasize the whole protein, eat as much protein, you know, eat as much vegetables, forget the carbs. If you don't want to eat the carbs, that's fine. But yeah, that day when he was like, I can't do it, and I'm like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to argue with it if you can't struggle with it. And I also watch him if I can see him, like, if he's just doing it to play around, like, the games when he was here, he's just not eating because he wants to play games. Like, no, that's not okay. But if he genuinely doesn't like the food and I can see him struggling, I'm like, okay.
It's definitely sometimes I make dinner and I'm like, damn, this dinner sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to force my kids to eat it if I don't want to eat it either.
I'll look at his face and I'm like, all right, I can be reasonable here. But I also tell him, like, don't, like, tell me 5 minutes that you're hungry. Like,
yeah, that's what was, like, last night I made spaghetti and which I put some in his thermos and took back to school today. So
thank God, I was going to ask you. Thank God. I forgot to ask you. I needed that.
So he, both the kids, for some reason, they just said that they weren't hungry. And I was like, you know, you're not getting those brownies after dinner then. And I don't want to hear. And they didn't ask for anything for the rest of the night. And I was like, whatever. I'm like, maybe, whatever.
He's done that too.
And he said the spaghetti was good. I was like, do you want me to put it in your lunch tomorrow? He was like, yeah, I loved it. He's like, I'm just not hungry. And I was like, that's fine. Go to bed then.
Yeah. He's had times where he said, like, he knew there was dessert coming. He's like, I'm full. And I'm like, so that means you're, like, full, like, completely, not just dinner full and not dessert full. He's like, no, I'm full. And he literally, like, didn't even ask about dessert. So then that's why I'm like, okay, if I can kind of see that, kind of, like, paying attention to be like, all right, I'm not going to fight with him if he's genuinely, like, full or hungry. But he does have to try things. Like, we're not doing the whole, if you don't think you like it, or mashed potatoes, like, when we make the mashed potatoes differently, because, you know, he's not a fan of mashed potatoes. I always tell him, like, try it. This is a different way. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I'm like, but you have to try it. You can't say you don't like something if you haven't tried it.
He does like tater tots, though.
He likes cheesy mashed potatoes. He ate it all down. And he was like, the potato au gratin or whatever that's called. Yeah. He's like, this is the best thing ever. What is it? I'm like, it's potatoes. And
he also likes gnocchi too.
But it's a different kind of potato. He's like, I like this kind of potato. I was like, Michael, it's still a damn potato.
Okay. Oh, real quick, last thing on this I wanted to say. So growing up, my dad and my dad and stepmom's house, you know, my brother, I have 4 brothers. My older brother and I had to eat whatever, you know, my stepmom was making. My little brothers would get a whole separate meal. They would get, like, chicken nuggets and pizza or something.
Really?
Yes! And I was like, we did do that with Bryce when Bryce was little. Before he went to the doctor or whatever, because I was just fighting him to the point where he was, like, screaming and throwing up. But I don't know what that doctor did, but the doctor talked him into it, and he was like, try one new food, and now he eats whatever we eat, unless it's spicy. Then I give him something else, or I'll put the sauce on after, or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we don't do that. Okay, so next, gentle parenting.
I'm trying to make sure that's recording.
Yeah, we also have to leave at 2, so. Okay, so we got 30 minutes. Okay, so, gentle parenting.
Oh, God.
How do you feel about gentle parenting?
Before we even get into gentle parenting, so I told you I looked up parenting styles online and saw that there was 4 different types of parenting styles. There's authoritarian, which is like a dictatorship type of thing. Passive, I think it's passive. And then neglectful. There's those 4 different types. And I was like, yeah, you know, we're authoritative, we're not gentle parenting. But then I did a lot more research where people were saying authoritative and gentle parenting is basically the same thing. But I think it's like a spectrum for authoritative. Maybe. Where you go between like very, very gentle parenting and like a little like nudge of a gentle parenting, but like behave, like, you know, like
that's not gentle. That hurt.
A little shove of gentle parenting with a little shove at the end. Because I think
gentle parenting, they don't yell at their kids either, though.
So there were so many different like articles that were taken, basically saying that's the same thing, and I think it's the same thing, but one has more aggressiveness than the other. I think authoritative and gentle parenting are the exact same thing, except I see gentle parenting as very passive, and I see authoritative as very, not very aggressive, but like slightly aggressive, where you could say you're gentle parenting, and I could say I'm gentle parenting, but I'm more aggressive with it than you are. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's where it is, where I feel like we technically do gentle parenting, because it's, you know, saying that there's rules, there's guidelines, but you're doing it with love and care. So that's technically gentle parenting.
I thought gentle parenting was more like... How can I explain this? So
a lot of people were also saying that gentle parenting comes off to other people as passive parenting. Where you're like,
parenting.
Don't do that. Like, don't do... Like, you're letting the kids walk all over you.
Letting the kids walk all over you, and then be... Like with the food thing, for instance. Like, you know, giving the children chicken nuggets instead of letting them...
Yeah, like, be like, at least they're eating. Like, it
yes,
doesn't matter
exactly.
what it is.
Hey, Billy, do you want, you know, to eat dinner with us, or do you want chicken nuggets? And Billy's like, fuck that! I like your mommy. Why would you say... Oh, Billy, calm down, my dear. Billy, oh, are you angry? Remember, use your nice word. Like, that's...
Yeah.
Use your nice word. Please don't hit me, Billy. I'm just kidding.
And I think that's...
I'm just kidding.
A stereotype of what it is. And I mean, I wouldn't say that I do gentle parenting, because there are times where, you know, I get frustrated, and then you start yelling, and you start getting, you know, the old school parenting ways. Like, I told you to go to your room. Like, that's enough. No discussion. No talking. Where that's not gentle parenting, that's like authoritative, switching into that authoritarian, but I want to be as able to communicate with, like, Michael, for example, as possible, with also admitting that there's times where I'm just, like, stressed out, and I'm like, I told you to go to your room because I said so. Like, that's it, and that's not authoritative because you're saying because I said so, or, you know, because I'm the adult or whatever, is when it switches to the authoritarian parenting, is how our parents used to parent us.
For the record, and I feel like we don't beat the children. There's no abuse.
No.
We are not, like, hands-on. I mean, we, you know, bop in the head.
Yeah. But I mean, I always say all the time, like, I support spanking your kids. I'm not one person to say, like, don't spank your kids. But I also was never spanked as a kid, because I didn't feel like I needed to be. I feel like there's, like, a reasoning, I guess, when you need to do it, if it's, like, super, super bad. I'm trying to think of, like, I don't know, if you, like, ran away or snuck out of your, like, bedroom window, you might get a spanking, because, like, that's a serious thing.
I definitely popped Bryce. Like, when the kids were really little, Bryce would definitely get a pop on the hand. Mm-hmm. I would never hit my kids in the face, like, ever.
No, that's just straight up, like...
That's disrespectful. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't smack him in the face, back him in the face, like, never do anything like that. Definitely thump my kid in the head. Mm-hmm. Like, what are you doing? But yeah. Just for the record, so no one... Because you said old school parenting, I don't want people to think that we're over here, like, smacking our kids with belts and stuff.
But then we run into... Because, like, my version of old school parenting is different than, like...
Me and Mike.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I never saw, like, you know, kids getting beat by parents or anything like that. Like, my mom never disciplined us. We got threatened with spankings, but we never actually got hit or anything. But that's my old school way of thinking of, like... You know, you want to be able to do things as a child. Well, these are the things that you need to do in order to, like, get what you want, type of thing. So, like, that's what I remember. And I would say...
your boob over there. You're just like...
You know, I used to say I grew up in a strict household, but it wasn't, like, a strict, scary, oh my god, I hate my family, I hate my parents. It was like, I have expectations of you. Mm-hmm. Do the expectations, and that's it. And you get to, you know, live your best life. And guess what? I live my best life. So.
I didn't get to live my best life, and I got beat. So.
Two very different types of old school parenting.
So, do you think gentle parenting works? Like, when you see a kid flipping out on aisle 4 in Publix because he can't get the cookies that his mom... How are you going to react with that kid? And do you think gentle parenting works?
See, See, in that scenario, gentle parenting would be to ask the child why they're feeling that way and, like, find out what the reasoning is. Do I feel like I would have time to be like, Michael, why are you acting this way? I'm going to be like, Michael, cut that shit out right now.
Yes, exactly.
We need to not do that. Do I wish that I could be like, yes, like, what's going on? Let's sit down. But in the moment, you just don't think about it, especially, like, with us when we're running around and we're stressed out. And, like, that's the last thing we need to deal with, the tantrum. I feel like I try to, like, in that moment, be like, cut it out. And then, like, when we're in the car, be like, what's going on? Like, what's the situation like afterwards? Be like, it's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. But you don't do that in public. As a child, as an adult, as anyone, you don't do that in public. If you're really upset or angry, you know, just like with anyone else, like, just bring it up. Michael literally, I mean, he's been good at that, where he'll be saying, like, I'm just having a bad day today. Yeah, and if he warns us in the beginning, it's like, okay, that's fine. Then we're going to understand if you're going to be extra irritable during the day. But, like, the acting out thing is not okay. If you think you woke up on the wrong side of the bed early in the morning, do what I do all the time. I'll walk through the house and be like, warning everyone, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I'm extremely irritable. I mean, I've told you that. That I'm like, I'm extremely irritable, so proceed with caution. To warn everyone that I'm probably going to be kind of negative and kind of cranky. So if I do, you know, tend to lash out, like, everyone knows, like, okay, you know, stay away from her.
When the kids are having a tantrum, especially Bryce. Actually, he's not really like, if he's hungry...
Yes.
That's the thing, though. I mean, with Bryce, he's only freaking out for one of two reasons. He's either tired and needs a nap, or 9 times out of 10, he's hungry.
Yes.
He's very, very, very hangry. Bryce is freaking out at the grocery store. How am I handling it? I'm going to get real close to his face, and I'm going to whisper in his ear. Enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
And he'll cry, and he'll tell me, I just want a snack. I'll be like, we're at Publix right now?
Yeah.
I will pick you up a snack, and you'll get a snack when we get home, or we'll wait till dinner, or whatever. Get it together.
Yes.
And be like, okay. And then that's it.
Yeah.
So, my kids have the fear instilled in them. So,
which a lot of people say, the people who do gentle parenting, they don't like to instill fear in the kids. They're like, why do you want your kids to fear you? But at the same time, why is it bad if they're a little bit afraid? Like,
it's
okay. Like, it's not abusing the child if they're a little bit. That creates that respect, because they really don't know what respect is when they're kids, like how to respect adults, but they do know what fear is.
They do.
And if you just like do a little bit of fear, like, I was terrified of my mom spanking me when I was a kid, and
now your mom's spanking me. Yeah, your mom's scary. I love you, Janet.
But like, I never thought that I was like being abused. It was just that fear that I was like, ooh, I need to like, you know, be back in, you know.
They say, is it better to be feared or loved? And I don't know, when people love you and they don't have any respect, they'll walk all over you. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're more than likely to get taken advantage of. I want to be a little bit of, obviously, feared and loved.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to teach them, you know, we're not friends. I'm your parent. You know, it's my job to make sure that you grow up to be a respectable adult. You know, if they're just living their best lives, screaming all over the place, not only is it embarrassing for us, but it's uncomfortable for the other people in the store, too, to hear this kid screaming and rolling around and everything. The kid's upset the whole time. They can be upset for 5 seconds. You correct it. Then the rest of the times they're just chilling. Yeah. Or be upset for, you know, the 30 minutes or whatever you're in the store. And you talk about it when you get out in the car, you know, or if you have 5 seconds, you calm the kid down. And Bryce and I, if it's just him and I or Michael, you know, we'll walk down the aisles and we'll quietly talk about it and figure out a solution. But I'm not going to let my kid, we're not going to sit there and be like, okay, what's going on? You're going to shut him up. So I've heard people say that have boys and girls, that gentle parenting works on their daughters, but it doesn't work on their sons. So I guess it does depend on the child. Michael, for me, I have 2 kids, so Michael is he's more emotional than Bryce is. So I tend to do, if I had to do gentle parenting towards one of them, it would definitely be more towards Michael, because he's just a sensitive kid. Like, he's always been that way. And then Bryce is just, rest will eat you alive, okay?
But the thing that sucks with the gentle parenting, that if it is something that you are doing, you have to do it consistently. You can't be a gentle parent one day, or do gentle parenting one day, and then be yelling your head off the next day. It's just, it's going to confuse the child. Or how you said, like, you would have to do with, you know, Michael, but you can't do it with Bryce. It's not going to work that way. It's going to cause confusion. Then that's when they're...
like, one's favored over the other.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think it works a lot better for maybe younger children to kind of, like, put them into the discipline mode when they're learning. If you have that time to just be like, no, like, sit down. Especially stay-at-home moms that you have all the time in the world, like, in the beginning, to, like, kind of explain to them when they're little, like, about their feelings and talk things out and maybe not crying about things. But as they get older, I mean, it's not, I mean, I don't think it's that simple sometimes.
I don't think it is either, because then they got attitudes and hormones and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us into our last... I
just read it again, and I was like, oh,
girl,
no.
And I need to hear your mother. I know what your mother's. I will talk about my mother's and how our parents handled it too. Yelling at other people's kids in public that are misbehaving. And how would you feel if someone was yelling at your kid in public? So, if my kids were acting a fool, I'm the kind of mom where, you know, obviously I've said before, it's real quick. We're not doing that today.
Yeah.
So people don't really get a chance to yell at my kids because I'm already yelling at my kids. Mm-hmm. But if my kids were acting a fool, and let's say, you know, I'm doing something, if someone else were yelling at my kids, I'm the type of person where I don't think I'd be upset. Mm-hmm. Some people get real offended. I don't think I would. I think I would be embarrassed, I feel like, if someone else had to step in and yell at my kids.
Yeah.
And then I would also yell at my kids. And say, thank you. If you see me out in public, people, and my kids are acting a fool, feel free to yell at them, embarrass them, and then I'm going to give you a high five. Don't touch my kids.
Yeah.
But if they're being too loud and you're like, hey guys, you know, tone it down a little bit, we're in a movie theater, or, you know, hey, you know, keep your hands to yourself, don't, you know, pull on my son's shirt, feel free, because if I don't catch it, I don't want my kids to be disrespectful.
Yes.
What about you? If you have the kids out, and someone comes up and is yelling at the kids. Up, Tiffany.
I don't know if initially I feel like my Latinos part would come out because I'd be like, first of all, like, why the hell are you yelling at Michael? Like, who the hell are you to be yelling at Michael first? Like, defensive, and then, like, explain the reasoning, and then I would be upset with Michael, like, being like, it's taking someone to yell at you, like, for something that you did to realize your consequences aren't okay. But yeah, I think initially I'd probably catch a problem. Just because, like, you know, you get on the defensive, and I know I get very defensive sometimes, I have to tell you. So, when Michael's 4 or 5, we took him, I think it was just me. I don't know where Mike was. But we took him to International Mall, you know, that little playground area? Mm-hmm. And Michael was only 4 or 5, so he was, like, this little tiny child and running around or whatever, and there was older kids in there. And I already, like, get in such a bad mood when I see older kids playing. Because they're never gentle around little kids.
And they shouldn't be there's a height requirement for a reason. Period.
Well, Michael was running around. He got pushed over by one of the kids. I didn't say anything in the beginning because I was like, ugh. Like, trying to just be like, maybe he'll leave or he'll get it. And he did it again. And I straight up yelled at every single older kid there. Asked where their parents were. The parents were not there. And I was like, you need to get the f*** out. And I know I should not be cursing at kids. But I was already hot-tempered. And once I'm hot-tempered, that's it. I lose it. I'm like, this is not okay. Like, get out. Made a whole entire scene to make sure any other parent with older kids were, like, leaving at the same time, too. Because I was like, this is not,
your kid
like,
got
okay.
knocked over. Yeah, I would totally do the same thing.
Girl, I went, like, a hot mess. Like, pulled straight up Karen. Like, I threw everyone under the bus. I'm like, if you are not old enough to be here, or if you're too old to be here, you all need to get out right now. Like, this is not okay. This is insane. And then I ended up leaving because I was in such a bad mood.
But what about if an adult came up to correct Michael for doing something?
Girl, I told you. I made look initially.
Oh, yeah, you did say that.
I've yelled at other people's kids. Like, it's like...
You've yelled at other people's kids?
100% I've yelled at other people's kids.
Me too.
I've seen, there was one time, I took Bryce and Michael to the playground. When I had both of them, like, it was last year maybe it was, because of COVID and stuff and whatnot. And there was a child who kept going up the slide while Bryce was trying to slide down. And, like, no, I saw the mother. She was on the phone talking, and her kid kept going up the slide. And I was like, hey, like, don't do that, like, very gently at first, because the kid was probably 4 or 5. And I was like, don't do that. I was like, you need to stop doing that. And I was like, can you get down? That's not okay. And then I'm like, are you going to do something about him? And then eventually she was like, oh, you need to get down, and like trying to be so gross. I was like, that is not okay. You need to learn how to like do a slide correctly, because that's not how you do it. And she was just not doing it, and I wanted to like low key embarrass her, where it's like, you're watching him cause a line of other kids, and you're acting like your phone call is more important. I'm like, I will embarrass you and your child, because if he goes up the slide and gets hurt because Bryce kicks him, you're gonna be mad at me.
I cannot stand people who don't pay attention to their kids at the park, at wherever. They just let their kids run and do everything. Like I said, I'm the first one to tell my kids, like, hey, get it together. Like, you know, we're not doing that real quick. Girl, I told you what happened at baseball.
Yes.
Oh my God. So Bryce is in T-ball. They're up like 4-year-olds or whatever, and they're supposed to keep their bats on the ground when they're waiting to bat. Because, you know, the kids will be swinging the bats around, you know, playing swords or whatever, and someone's going to get hit in the eye. So Bryce was up to bat. I couldn't even watch him because there was a little boy who was swinging his bat around it. And my husband and I were sitting back there. Almost hit me. And I was like, oh, hell no. So I kept saying, all these parents are there, okay? I'm the only one saying, Michael, Bryce, keep your bat on the ground. Keep your bat on the ground. So Bryce is sitting there, and eventually he's tired of hearing me yell and embarrass him. So he's keeping his bat on the ground. All the other parents, not paying attention. They're all on their phones. Kids are swinging bats around. There's this one kid in particular who was swinging a bat around, and his sister came up behind her. She was on the soccer team. Swinging the bat, clocked the sister in the face, in the fucking eye. And the mom yelled at the sister because the sister shouldn't have been around the boys playing baseball.
Yeah.
If that boy would have clocked my kid in the eye because he wasn't keeping his bat down. Like, I said something to that kid twice.
Yeah.
Keep your bat down. And then he's looking at me like, oh. And I'm like, keep your bat down. Keep your bat down. Like, I will definitely say something. If there's a kid acting, it's...
Girl, I would pull the bat out of his hands.
I wouldn't do that.
Oh, I would. I've done that once at a playground. I mean, I didn't do it forcefully or anything. There was one time, you know those, like, toy cars, like the big RC toy cars you're normally supposed to, like, play on the floor. Someone whacked Michael when he was, like, I think one of the first times I met Michael, he was 3.
Hell no.
Whacked Michael in the back of the head, and it was a small kid. He didn't know any better, but I was like, no, don't, trying to tell the kid, like, that's not how you play. You play like this. Took that car out of his hands, because I was like, if you're not going to play with it correctly, I'm not giving it to you. And I handed it to the parent. I was like, your child keeps hitting, my child with this and his head. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, here's the toy. Like, I'm not giving it back to him because he doesn't know how to play with it correctly.
If like I said, if the kid would have hit Michael or Bryce with the bat, I would have taken the bat.
Damn right.
But it's not my kid, and he wasn't hitting my kid.
I'm saying if it did. Yeah, no, if it hit someone else's kid, that's like up to that. Yeah,
problem.
Exactly. You need to figure it out. I'll watch so that I can like tell how the story recounted. If anyone needs to be like, who saw what happened, but I'm not gonna get involved. But
if you're involved in my kid it's a no for me. I'm gonna go up to your parent. I'm gonna take the car. I'm gonna be yelling at your kid. Like you need to. Oh my God, it's my biggest pet peeve when people don't fucking pay attention to their kids, especially at the park. They're on their phones, they're doing whatever. You're supposed to be making sure your kids are playing safely with each other.
And nicely, and, playing if whatever it is that they're using, they're doing appropriately so they don't get hurt.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's times where I've called Michael, especially like in the swings when he's swinging, and I'm like, he's like swinging too high, like he's gonna kick someone. Or like, he's roughhousing the playground, and I'll go to him and I'm like, you are going to hurt someone. And I say loud enough so like all the other kids know, like, that's not how you play with it, and like correct Michael and be like, don't do that again.
Yeah, I mean, even on the swings, you wouldn't be hurting someone on a swing. You can, in my opinion, you can swing as high as you want to swing. People should not be walking behind. Watch your kids, make sure they're not walking behind or in front of the swings. You're gonna get kicked. I've
had to stop Michael mid-swing. Got myself kicked because like a baby walked in front of him, and and when you're in the swing, you're in the swing. Like once you're going, you can't stop. And I saw the baby, and I don't know where the parent was, or they weren't getting fast enough to the baby that I let Michael kick me, and I was like, damn, that fucking hurt. But I was like,
the baby going hurt swings.
Whew. I don't know how. I don't run fast. I don't run at all. And I was able to run fast enough to get Michael to stop. And I mean, I even told Michael it wasn't his fault or anything. But I was like, yeah, like you have to really. And it sucks to tell him that you have to pay attention when you're swinging because if a baby does come in front of you, you know, it's going to look really bad when you just yeeted the baby across the playground. But I was like, you have to kind of swing, enjoy yourself, but do pay attention because you might have to stop yourself really quickly with these other kids.
How many times, where were we? We were somewhere where Michael was running around and I told him, I stopped him mid-run and I was like, you need to pay attention where you are. I'm like, there's little kids around here. Armature works. Yes, I do that all the time because he is older, he's 10, but he has a little 4-year-old brother that he plays with on the playground. And if the kids are younger, you know, I'll let Michael run around, not in an indoor mall area. He does not play on the playground anymore at those things. He sits with me while Bryce plays. Or I just don't bring him at all. But he'll be running and I'll be like, look at me. I'll get his attention. There's little kids here. You need to pay attention to what you're doing. Don't knock a baby over because you're up here and the kids are down here and you're not paying attention. If you can't, then you need to sit down. You know, like, I can't. It makes me so mad.
Yeah, you have to be mindful. But yeah, I agree. It annoys me when I see, because I'll correct Michael so that people are seeing, like, we're watching him. And I know sometimes he does things he's not supposed to. And it's like, catch it. I mean, we can't stop him from doing, you know, everything. But, like, when we catch him doing something wrong, I quickly, like, correct it out loud so everyone knows, like, we caught this, we're situated. Because I'll see when parents are watching when Michael's, like, playing too rough near someone. And I know they're watching because they're ready to, like, say something or whatnot. I'm like, all right, I need to catch it first so they know that I'm correcting it. But, like, just everyone watch their kids.
It's an awkward situation for everyone when you have to correct someone else's child. And for the parent who, you know, has the child who's acting up and, you know, didn't catch it. It's just really uncomfortable. Like, I just wish people would just, like, fucking...
But going back to going back to the main question of yelling at other people's kids, if it affects the kids directly, 100% I'm all for it because what your child is doing is going to hurt my child and that's not okay. But if their child is acting like an idiot and it's going to hurt another person's kid, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to look at you and judge you, but I'm not going to say anything because it's not my problem. But, like, if you're affecting my family, I'm going to say something because I'm not going to wait until it gets worse and be like, look what you did here because I watched you the whole entire time.
Let's say you're at Publix. If you guys are not from Florida, Publix is a very popular grocery chain here. That's why I keep saying Publix. Okay, let's say you're at Walmart.
Okay.
And there is a bunch of, I'm going to use cocktail sauce bottles because this actually low-key happened to Michael one time. And the mom's on the phone not paying attention, or she's, you know, paying attention to the other kid, and the kid's just throwing the bottles on the ground. Are you going to say something to that kid?
No.
Not breaking the bottles or anything like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that, or... Nope.
No, because if it's not affecting me, like, if I'm leaving the aisle and it's not affecting me, I'm going to look at her, I'm going to look at the child, I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to be like, you fucked up, and I'm going to walk away.
Damn.
That's fucked up. If you're not noticing the chaos that your child is creating... I'll make sure that I know that you know that I noticed it and I'm judging you, but I'm not going to correct and parent your child for you. But if the child was throwing the cocktail sauces at, like, Michael or at me, right then and there, I'll correct that shit real quick.
Michael wasn't throwing it at other kids. What happened was he was running around playing hide and seek in the store with Travis. This is, like, back in the day. I think this was before Bryce was born, or Bryce was, like, I was pregnant with Bryce. He was running around in the store and... ran into a display of cocktail sauce and it all splattered all over the floor.
I love that for him.
Yeah, Travis was traumatized.
What would you do if you saw that in a grocery
if a kid was throwing it on the floor?
Like you're leaving the aisle but you see that the kid is just like...
I would probably walk up. I wouldn't tell the kid like he was an asshole or whatever. I would walk up and be like, oh my gosh, don't do that, sweetie. And then hopefully the mom would hear it and then turn around and be like, oh. Or I'd be like, oh no, are you okay? Or something like that to get the mom's attention and then let her deal with it.
Yeah.
Because if a lot of people, you know, they're not paying attention to their damn kids, they don't know what's going on. Like, I've done that several times where, like, I'll say something not, oh my god, who's letting this fucking kid? Or whatever. Like, don't fucking, you know, I'm just like, oh my gosh, oh no, something like that. So the mom will hopefully turn around and I look more like concerned rather than like parent your kid, which low-key I want to be like parent your kid.
But then, see, and this is I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Because if I feel like that was in that instant where you're telling that and the mom notices and she either turns back around, like she doesn't care.
Then if she doesn't care, then I don't care. That's not my problem. If she don't care, then I don't care. But I'm going to assume that she doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But if she don't care, I'm not going down that aisle. I'm gonna continue on my way. It's not my store. I don't care. That's not. I'm gonna tell someone up front. By the way, in aisle 6, you know,
no problem.
Billy's back there throwing hot tail sauce on the floor. I saw him check the cameras. But if she don't care, I don't care. So.
I try to just focus on me and mine's type of thing because I know I can get hot-headed very easily, and I would just be like, seriously, like, this is what you do? Especially if, like, someone had the audacity if that specific situation happened and they, like, yell at the child and just walk away and leave the mess there. I'm gonna be like, I know you didn't make it, but your child made it, and you need to take care of this. Because I've seen plenty of parents where their child will make a mess of some sort, and they'll yell at the child and take the child away as if they're punishing them, and leave the mess there.
No.
I've seen that.
I can clean it up.
And I'm like, I know you're trying to act like you're angry and stuff, but you need to take care of this. Like, you can't be so happy, you know, that's it, we're going home now. Like, no, clean up your mess that your child just made.
Yes. You know what else is, like, kind of not really on the subject, but whatever, I just totally randomly thought about it. It happens all the time. Like, Bryce will hear a baby crying in the store, and 9 times out of 10, it's just, like, a very, like, overwhelmed mother trying to get her grocery shopping done. Bryce is like, Mommy, there's a baby crying! Why is there a baby? That baby's loud! And I'm just like, oh my god.
That is too funny.
And I'll just be like, oh my gosh, someone sounds upset. I'm like, yeah, baby's probably hungry. Or, you know, like, I try to, like, diffuse the situation. Because, oh my god. Let me tell you the anxiety.
Bryce's mom shaming out here.
I know! I'm like, Bryce! Because, you know, back in the day, dude, when your baby's hungry and your baby's screaming in a stroller and you're in the middle of Target or whatever, girl, I've literally busted out a bottle and sat on a Target display, like a couch display. Yup.
Best way to do it.
Break out a bottle, breastfeed right there, put a little blanket over me.
So our camera died as we were finishing up the end of this podcast, and Megan had to go and pick up the kids. So I'm going to be ending the podcast by myself for today. I think that was basically the gist of our podcast. If you guys have any other suggestions or topics that you want to hear our opinions on, let us know. DM us on Instagram. Or write it in YouTube if you guys are watching this on YouTube. And stay tuned for our next episode that's going to come out next Tuesday. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye!